Oh man, I'm so glad this season is over. Just restart, man.
Where did you lot finish in the league?
We finished 8th.
8th?
We finished 8th. Yeah. Next season, innit?
That's dead.
Hi there guys, and welcome to another episode of A Dash of Sports, episode 15. I'll be your host and presenter, Dashiki Dash, and on this show is where I talk about all things sports related, hot topics and trending stories. And if you like the previous episodes, hey, you know what to do. Give us a like, comment, subscribe, and remember to press the notification button so that you don't miss out on up and coming episodes. And oh yeah, don't forget to share it. And on today's show, I'm going to be kicking off with some football with the crescendo of the final day of the Premier League. Did it live up to its billing? Was there any late dramas for those teams that have been trying to qualify for the Champions League? And also, what about the teams that have been fighting the drop in the relegation battle? And also, I'm going to be giving you a small preview to this year's FA Cup final, just to see how both Arsenal and Chelsea are looking before this season's curtain call event. Now, who's going to win? Who's gonna win? Listen, both teams are more than capable, but I'm gonna give you my little breakdown of who I think is gonna be favourite come Cup final day. And moving on to some boxing, as we've been hearing for a number of weeks now that the legend himself, Iron Mike Tyson, could be making his return back into the ring. Now those rumours have finally been confirmed, and he'll be fighting none other than Roy Jones Jr. Now, what can we be expecting from both fighters? Is it going to be a proper scrap? Is it going to be a proper fight? Or is it just going to be some exhibition? Either way, I got to get to the bottom of this to find out why these two are fighting. From legends to potential future legends, with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, who seem to be quite distracted by one another lately as the war of words continue. Now, personally for me, I really think that they should concentrate on their respective up and coming fights, do away with business, and then they can concentrate on the future and the proposed fight for next year. But in the meantime, I'm going to be checking out both camps to see how they're doing. So more to be discussed on A Dash of Sports. So the 2019-2020 season has finally come to an end. Oh, thank God. Listen, I was happy to see football back because I've missed it, but I don't know what to think of it, you know? Like, it's just been a weird season. Crazy, like the weirdest to date. I've never experienced anything like this, and I'm sure you haven't as well, because you got to think about it. From Liverpool steamrolling the Premier League, and what, they won it by April or so. Then you got the coronavirus, COVID-19 has put a halt to things. Then you got the restart with the teams playing like twice a week in empty stadiums. Then you got Liverpool finally lifting the trophy in an empty stadium again. It's just been mad. Now, I'm not doing a review of the season this week. I'm gonna save that for another show, but it's just been mad. Absolutely mad. So the Premier League finally ended with the last round of games that took place this past Sunday. Now, if you look at the table here, and if you can find any solace in where your team is, final standing is, then so be it. Because if I look down here, Arsenal, anyway, let me go back up there. The two guaranteed spots that you knew for sure that weren't going to change was definitely going to be Liverpool and Man City, either or. Liverpool obviously being champions. And then everything else was just like mixed up, because ever since the restart, you just saw teams like Leicester in itself. Like Leicester were in comfortable third place, and they've slipped down to 5th, which is absolutely, I'm going to keep saying this, Brendan Rodgers choked. He choked, man. Choked with Liverpool, choked with Leicester. I don't care if anybody tries to turn around and say, well, you know, it's only Leicester. These are former champions. Ranieri was doing a good job there. You're in a position to hold down the Champions League spot, and their restart has been awful. Anyway, then you've got like the likes of Man United, who were like 11th or 12th at one point in the season, and they finally got 3rd. And then you got the likes of Chelsea, who maintain their spot. Then you've got like Arsenal, 8th. You got Spurs celebrating their 6th position. You got this, they're celebrating their 6th position in the Europa League. Now, the final day itself, it's not something that I would get the beers and the snacks out for, or even write home about. But nonetheless, there were a few things to talk about. So you still had the battle for the last 2 Champions League spaces between Chelsea, United and Leicester that went down to the wire. Nah, for me it's no it weren't going down to the wire, because I already knew that Leicester was going to miss out on that spot. And when you think about the games as well, you got Chelsea versus Wolves. Wolves they're already done out. They weren't chasing any Champions League. They're comfortable with the Europa spot. Chelsea ended up beating them 2-0 comfortably. And then you got the United-Leicester game, which was pretty much the Champions qualification cup final. And man, United beating them 2-0 comfortably, with United's 12th man, the penalty spot. 14 penalties though, 14. That's the most ever awarded in the Premier League. You've got who else? Crystal Palace had 13, and we all know why. Because that Andy Johnson, if there was VAR them days, I don't think he would have got them penalties. But he was the king of getting penalties. And then Leicester also 13 penalties. That was Jamie Vardy as well, man. He was going down a bit easy them days as well. But yo, man, that's a load of penalties. Now, out of United and Chelsea, I can understand why Chelsea have been a bit subdued in their, celebrations of qualifying in the Champions League, because they've been very consistent throughout the season and pretty much what they expected, to be fair, and how well they've been playing this season. And I think Lampard has done an incredible job. And with the new additions that we're seeing that they're getting already, these guys do business from early. They've got Ziyech, Timo Werner, and if they get Havertz as well, just need to add some defenders there. Man, they're going to be something else. Then you got United, who literally have been celebrating. But 3rd place though. Now, as much as I'm laughing and I'm like, yo, you see how the tables have turned? Arsenal used to get dissed about just trying to qualify for Champions League and not winning anything else. But if you think about it realistically, Ollie's back on the wheel. And from about 11th position, there's no way United should be holding down that 3rd position. So listen, man, I got to give it up for United. Well done. That has been an amazing. It almost feels like when Arsenal got 2nd place out of nothing. We weren't meant to get 2nd place that season, but we ended up there anyway. So I completely understand how United fans are feeling right now, back in the Champions League. And you got to give it up to Ollie, because I've been saying for the longest time, give the guy a chance. It's not easy to manage a big entity like Manchester United, and it's going to take time. He was on the wheel, he's off the wheel, everything happened to him, but he's back at the wheel. And listen, you've made Champions League, so salute to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Done an incredible job there as well. Got to give him full ratings. Now for this one, I need you lot to help me out. Like, I need the comments. I need you lot to let me know what you think, because what I'm going to say is going to end up just sounding like, oh, it's an Arsenal Spurs thing, yada, yada, yada. But it really isn't. I just need to understand, were Tottenham and Mourinho, were they celebrating that Europa qualification, get into Europa League? Were they celebrating at the end of the game against Crystal Palace? Because that's what it looked like to me. And I don't know, maybe they were just, nah, you lot, you don't need to write your comments there, man. Let me not say too much, because like I said, I don't want it to come across like it's an Arsenal Spurs thing. What do you think? Was Spurs actually celebrating their Europa League qualification spot, or was it just a relief that the season was over? I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think the reasoning behind it, but you let me know, man. Put your comments below. You've got to help me out with this. Put your comments below. Well, that game between Crystal Palace and Tottenham ended 1-1, with Harry Kane putting the visitors ahead in the first half, and then Jeffrey Schlupp. I never get his name right. Sorry, my bad. Now that point alone allowed Tottenham to leapfrog over Wolves. Same points on 59 each, but they went ahead on goal difference. Now it's going to be a bit techie for Wolves now because they're going to have to wait around for Chelsea in the FA Cup final. If Chelsea wins, then they will free up the spot. If Arsenal wins, then Arsenal will get that spot, the Europa League spot, and then Wolves will miss out. So all has to be, a waiting game for Wolves, but they're going to have to find out this weekend. So we now know how all the European spots have been taken care of. But just remember, there's always another side of the coin when it comes to the final day of the season, and that's the relegation battle. Now, no need to even look at Norwich because they were relegated a long time ago. They can go. But I predicted Watford. I did say it. I said it. If you look back a couple of shows ago when I was giving my predictions on who was going to get relegated, I said Watford will get relegated and I said Aston Villa will survive. Hey, you heard it here, You heard it here first on the Dash of Sports. So the last day did throw up a little bit of an entanglement between these teams down there in the at the bottom, because if Watford would have got a draw or win against Arsenal, that would have lifted them out of the relegation zone. At the same time, Aston Villa was winning 1-0 at one point, which had them clear. But then West Ham scored, and if West Ham would have scored another, then that would have put Villa back into the drop zone. Watford would have been out. Yeah, there was a few things happening at that point. It was like, okay, let's see what happens here. But I was very much confident that Watford was going to go down and Villa was going to stay up. Now in the Watford game away to Arsenal in the battle of cojones, the cojones derby. Troy Deeney was trying so hard, but in the first couple minutes they conceded a penalty, and that was it for them, man. They conceded the first, second, third, then it was 3-1, then 3-2, which made it a bit of a nervy end for both teams, really. In the midst of that, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang was trying to get his golden boot. Managed to score 2 goals, needed 3 just to equal Vardy. I think, to be fair, Arsenal were trying so hard to pass the ball to Aubameyang to get his golden boot, which kind of took away from the team. And I feel that it became overly predictable. So whenever the ball went over to Aubameyang, Watford knew what was going on. And that kind of it just kind of ruined the whole game, to be fair. But hey, it is what it is. And the Cojones FC have dropped down into the Championship. And I don't know, man, that team is going to be dismantled. A load of them players are going to be gone. So we're just going to have to see what happens to Watford. Even Troy Deeney got asked by Sky whether or not he's going to be leaving Watford or even retiring. And he's come back, and his response to that was so funny, man. Now, Aston Villa got their captain, Jack Grealish, to thank, because without him, Villa would have been long gone. He's single-handedly saved Aston Villa. And they managed to get a draw with a goal from Jack Grealish, a draw at the London Stadium against West Ham. So Villa are safe, West Ham are safe. But the team that's just literally evaded my radar, and I've been talking about them in terms of like how poor they've been, was Bournemouth. Like, they've been losing 5-1s and the 4-0s and all of that. And for some reason, I just did not even catch my eye on them being relegated. They're finally gone. Eddie, how? How has this happened? This is mad. But yeah, man, a small club like that, really, it's going to be tough for them to bounce back. And I don't think Eddie Howe's going to be there. He's definitely going to either walk or he's going to be sacked. Now, before I ask you for your opinion on the last day of the season, the final day of the Premier League, let's just quickly talk about David Silva, man. The little magician played his final game for Man City this past Sunday, accumulating 434 appearances, 77 goals, 122 assists, 11 major trophies, which includes 4 Premier League titles. Now, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. And yeah, it's going to be sad to see him leave, sad to see him go. Still got his Champions League games, obviously, but on Sunday was his last Premier League game. So yeah, that's it, man. No more David Silva in the Premier League. But let me know, man, where would you rank David Silva in terms of the all-time greats, or if you want to say like foreign players in the Premier League? But I really want to go with just any footballer in the Premier League era. Where would you rank David Silva? So what did you think about the final day of the season? Did it live up to the billing? Did your team finish in a position that you was happy with? What about the restart as well? Was you not happy with the restart and how the teams were playing behind closed doors with no fans? Well, actually, when I think about the roundup and I'm talking about the final day, maybe I did miss out on those beers and snacks. But hey, leave your comments down below, let me know. and how you felt about the final day of the season. And now moving on to the FA Cup final between Arsenal and Chelsea. The FA Cup will be won by a London team this year as City rivals Arsenal and Chelsea go head to head at Wembley. Arsenal stunned holders Man City 2-0 in the semi-finals, while Chelsea saw of Man United 3-1 to leave Mikel Arteta and Frank Lampard within one game of glory in their first seasons in charge. Now, despite the fact that Chelsea had a rookie manager in Frank Lampard, who's done absolutely amazing, by the way, with the fact that he had a young team, a transfer ban as well, the aim for Chelsea would have been to finish in the top 4 to qualify for the Champions League. Now, anything else beyond that, an FA Cup win to win the trophy, would be the icing on the cake with the cherry on top. And as for Arteta, el jefe, el patrón, the boss. Listen, you can definitely see that he's imprinting his style and identity on Arsenal already. But the reality is, 8th place is not good enough and it will never be good enough for Arsenal. And also the potential lack of European football that hasn't happened for maybe the last 25 years. So it is quite tough, but we all can see that since he's been there and what he's been trying to do, but the players have let him down. The players let Unai Emery down. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see this summer, the summer window, whether or not the Cronkies, the owners, the board can back Arteta. But all in all, the reality is there's a FA Cup final to be played. If you win that, there's a backdoor to Europa and also the opportunity to end the season with a trophy. And we can go ahead to try and beat our record of 13 FA Cup trophies to try and get that 14th one. Now let me know what you think, because the more and more I'm thinking about this, the Premier League is done. We're moving on to the FA Cup final. Both teams going to Wembley. I'm getting excited. Who do you think is going to win, Arsenal or Chelsea? Now, with Arsenal being very indifferent in terms of their performances, one week they can look like, you know, world beaters, another week they just look absolute trash. With the 2 games, for example, Liverpool, City, it looked amazing during that game. And then you got Villa and Watford, not so great. But when it comes to Chelsea, listen, man, they've been quite consistent throughout the season, qualified for the Champions League, and they're serial trophy winners as well. Don't sleep on Chelsea. Where there's a trophy about, they know what to do usually. 2017 Arsenal versus Chelsea, Arsenal came out on top on that. And then there was another cup final in Baku where Chelsea absolutely destroyed Arsenal. So it's going to be very interesting. I don't think there's any clear-cut winner. Probably if you look in terms of consistency, Chelsea have the edge. But listen, it's a one-off game, a final. Let's see what happens. And I'm getting in the mood and I'm getting excited now. Come on, Arsenal, let's go. Who do you reckon is going to win? Put your comments down below and let me know. This fight still hurts me, man. Come on, man. Get up, Mike. Forget about the gum shield. Get up. Oh. Like, why was he still trying to pick up the gum shield? Huh? Just get up. Get up, Mike. This fight, it still hurts me, man. Iron Mike Tyson. Iron Mike. Listen, he was my sporting hero back in the days. One of my sporting idols. Listen, I cried when he lost to Buster Douglas. Only 2 times I've cried over sports. Or sports and sports entertainment. Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas and Hulk Hogan losing to Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania. So Tyson to fight Roy Jones Jr. in an exhibition bout. Former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson will return in the boxing ring for an exhibition fight against ex-4-weight world champion Roy Jones Jr. The bout is scheduled to take place on the 12th of September in Los Angeles. Tyson, who's just recently turned 54, last fought professionally in 2005 when he was beaten by Irishman Kevin McBride in what was his 6th loss in 58 career contests. And his fellow American Roy Jones Jr., 51, has not fought since beating Scott Sigmund in February 2018. Now this is a strange one. If I take away all the nostalgic feeling and actually think about what's going on, this is strange. We're actually going to see Mike Tyson fighting against Roy Jones Jr. We're looking at the 80s superstar, the 80s boxing superstar versus the 90s boxing superstar. This is the stuff that you see on Fight Night, like the games and stuff like that, where you just, a fantasy matchup. I can't believe that this is happening. It's an 8-round bout, an exhibition fight, no head guards. So what we're gonna see? Now Mike Tyson been looking crazy on the pads. Like since he announced that he's gonna be making his comeback, and we thought it was gonna be against Holyfield. So you're thinking to yourself, all right, two oldies in the exhibition fight, they're not really gonna go for it. But this is Roy Jones Jr., who 2018 was the last time he was active. So he's still got it about him, you know. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Roy Jones Jr. saying that this is like David versus Goliath, because he was describing Mike Tyson saying, look at the guy's legs, look at his arms, look at his neck. This is like David versus Goliath. Now, I don't know, man. I don't know. You've got a lot of people chiming in right now, giving their opinions. Anthony Joshua was even mentioning the fact, like, don't get too carried away with Mike Tyson on the pads. He's looking good, but by no means is he like this guy that's just gonna come and just batter everyone now. You got also George Foreman, who's been, you know, giving his opinion about the fight and saying that it's a bit dangerous for both fighters to try and go and reignite their careers. One thing I would say, it is exhibition, it is 8 rounds, and I don't know, unless it's the animalistic kind of being within these two fighters comes out, then I don't know, maybe they might go at it and really scrap. The last time I see Mike Tyson in an exhibition, it was that. Even when you caught the guy proper and the guy was just falling, Tyson was holding him up. It all just depends on how they feel and what type of spirit they're in. I can't see anything that's really gonna ignite for them to really go at it. If it was Holyfield, I can understand. I feel that Holyfield still holds a grudge in terms of his ear being bit, and Mike Tyson obviously losing the 2 fights. That could have been a good scrap, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this one. So this fight is going to be fought in Los Angeles. It's actually been fully commissioned, so there's no other things that needs to be done. They've signed their paperwork, they've signed the contracts. It's going to be in conjunction with an app called Triller, so you're going to be able to stream it live like a pay-per-view, and also you're going to be able to watch it on the app. I'm not sure about the ins and outs of the viewing. I'm definitely going to be watching though. I'm definitely going to be watching, but there's more to it, because I'm hearing that they're going to be trying, this is like they're testing the water to see if they can build a Legends League. So any legend or anyone that feels like, any retired boxer, any legend that feels like they can get back into the ring, they're going to try and build a league. So I'm not sure how this is going to pick up. I don't know how safe this is. You know, there's a lot of fighters that they've hung up their gloves for many years, like don't need to be getting back into the ring. So I'm not sure about this Legends League, but this is what they're saying. And if it kicks off and it picks up, then there's money to be made, obviously. If it picks up, who knows? You might get fights like Lennox Lewis versus Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis versus Vladimir Klitschko. You never know, man. These these old fighters, I know that Holyfield would definitely be in the mix, because that guy's never wanted to retire. Or you might even get like Chris Eubanks versus Nigel Benn, Chris Eubanks versus Steve Collins. You never know, man. Chris Eubanks versus Roy Jones Jr. Hey, let me know, man. Put your comments down below. Do you think that this fight should happen? Should these legends be climbing back into the ring? Do you think it's going to be safe? It is 8 rounds under exhibition rules. We don't know how intense the fights are going to be, but let me know, man. Put your comments below and let me know. Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. should we just say that the countdown for that fight should start now? Because the way these two are going on, the way they're promoting that fight, that's the proposed fight that's scheduled for next year, is crazy. Every single time, every single opportunity, interview, anything, they're always talking about each other. Meanwhile, these two have got their own respective fights. Joshua's fighting against Pulev, and then you've got the Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3. Surely they should be concentrating on those fights. But no, every single time, like I keep saying, they keep talking about each other. They're highly distracted by one another right now. Now, I'm pretty sure that this fight is going to happen. In fact, I'm certain of it, because the way the boxing world is, the boxing industry with the COVID-19, the coronavirus, the money in the game right now has dwindled. Now, a big fight like Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury will bring a load of money. Can't be passed up. So, sorry for the likes of Dylan White, who thought that they had the chance. You're not going to get your chance until this fight is done. And it's a 2-fight deal, apparently, that they've signed. Now, what really needs to happen? First and foremost, I don't think the contracts have been all the way signed for these fights. I believe that in principle, you know, a deal has been done, but then you got to sort out the money. Now, I'm hearing that the first fight is going to be 50-50. Then the second fight for the rematch, for the winner, takes 60-40. All right. So as long as they can agree to that, then the fight will definitely be on. But despite all of that, you know, you can sign all the contracts you want, agree in principle, everything like that. But the most important thing right now is both their fights. So this is why I keep saying, like, they should really concentrate on what they need to do first. Because we've seen it. We have seen it before with Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz, that anything could happen. So they've got to stay focused. If they can stay focused and get past their fights, then we know to ourselves we're going to be in for one. Whew, I'm excited. Where's it going to be? In the UK? Is it going to be in the US? Is it going to be in the, you know, in Dubai somewhere? So you got Anthony Joshua versus Pulev, which was originally scheduled for June, but because of the coronavirus, COVID-19, that had to be postponed. And you're looking now maybe towards the ending of the year, that fight, maybe like December times, which might be around the same time Tyson Fury fights Deontay Wilder. So that will be quite good, because normally when one fights, you got to wait several months and then you got to find out the result for that fight. So if they fight pretty much close to each other, literally we'll be watching like an eliminator, where if Joshua wins, Tyson Fury wins, then we'll be like, yes, here we go, 2021 scheduled fight, let's go. Listen, it's wishful thinking. Anything can happen in boxing, as we know. Anything could happen. But at the same time, I am a bit of a skeptic. I look into things a bit too, sometimes when it's not really there. But when it comes to big money in boxing, in sports, there's a way to bend it to your will when you want it to. I think this fight's going to happen. Definitely. There's just too much money on the table for it not to happen. I truly believe that the fights that they've got, they're going to win. I think Pulev is not going to be a match for Anthony Joshua, and he's going to easily beat him. And when it comes to Tyson Fury, it's just going to be the same fight that we've seen in the second one. Wilder's not going to be able to compete. Boxing wise, he's just not in Tyson Fury's league, and it's just going to end the same way. Plus, he's carrying this injury, and you're going to hear it. Just remember, I said this. Deontay Wilder's going to get into that fight. Before the fight, he's going to say that he's fully fit. He's had the best training camp ever. He's ready. He's going to do it for his people, blah, blah, blah. And then when he loses, he's going to be saying, oh, he had a problem with his bicep, his tricep, his shoulder, everything like that. Any excuse under the sun, he's going to bring it. And it's just going to be a waste of time. But these fights have to happen. Money has to circulate. So let's see what happens. Let me know what you think. Who do you think is going to win out of Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury? When that fight comes around, who's going to win? And also, you can let me know, give me your predictions, the fights between Anthony Joshua and Pulev. Also, Tyson Fury versus Wilder. You can give me your predictions on those as well. Like I said, I predict that Joshua and Tyson Fury are going to come through and win both their fights to eventually face in 2021. Let me know, man. Put your comments below and let me know. And with that being said, I'm going to leave it there for today. But thank you very much for watching another episode of A Dash of Sports. I truly appreciate your love and support. And if you need further information about future episodes or just your day-to-day sporting updates, please head over to my Instagram page, and I'm also on Twitter, which is A Dash of Sports. A Dash of Sports, I'll put it down below here, and I'll also put it in my description. And please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. And until the next time on A Dash of Sports, peace.